Okay, so what was the motivation behind you and Lauren starting Chicks and Dip?
We, the biggest thing, honestly, is that we did not have time to do the old podcast. We would do it during the week at work. And, you know, the podcast wasn't our full-time job. We're full-time sales reps. So
Right.
we have a sales goal to meet. And sometimes print advertising can be really hard to sell. Some people don't
Yeah.
believe in it. Other people do. Some other people want to get on a digital contract, so you kind of got to pick and choose who your clientele is, I guess. But we just didn't have time. We would spend all Tuesdays recording it in the morning, and then I would go back and edit it. And it just was a lot at the end of the day. And I think we just also wanted some more freedom with it. We wanted to be able to talk about what we want to talk about. And that's exactly what we're doing on this new podcast.
So what are you guys going to be talking about?
So pretty much the whole idea of it is that I'm 24, Lauren's 25. And I feel like this age is not that it's such a hard age, but more so it's a confusing age because you're graduated from college. You feel like you should have everything together and you should be on that career path. But especially for Lauren and I, ours have already changed being 2-3 years out of college. And we're just kind of accepting that, hey, we don't have it all figured out. And that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about what we've experienced, whether it's jobs, relationships, moving, anything really under the sun, and bringing people on to answer the questions that we can't answer ourselves because we haven't gotten that far in life yet.
Yeah, I love that because, and this is kind of the last few years in all my podcasts and writing and just reading I do, it's kind of on this subject matter because, and the book I'm reading right now, which was recommended to me by Anna Botino, if you remember her.
Oh, yeah.
The Defining Decade, several people have recommended it to me. I'm only a quarter of the way through it, but one of the premises I've read so far is that our generation currently, and some of the generation preceding us, this is really the first time where we've kind of had a gap in our 20s, a gap for wandering, because our parents were just kind of shepherded into your 20s or, okay, like, it's time for you to get married. Like, there was never really this 10-year buffer window between college and getting married like there is now. So there's never really been before in the history of time this window where it's like, all right, what do I do now? We are wandering. There's this German word, it's called like Wanderarsch or something. It's kind of this wandering period that all of us are going through. And it's kind of what I love about our 20s is just kind of floating about from thing to thing, uninhibited. I don't have to worry about a family. I don't have a dog. I don't have any kids or wife or anything, because I can just kind of go do what I want when I want and figure out what I want down the road. And that's what I love so much about it. But on the flip side, a lot of confusion. Am I where I should be in my life? Am I doing what I've always wanted to do? Does this fulfill me? Am I hanging out with the right people? All sorts of existential questions that I think that you and I probably have this in common, as well as many other people as well. Just constantly running the hamster wheel in your head, asking yourself the questions if you're doing the right things.
Oh my gosh, I keep myself up at night because my brain never shuts off. I mean, I swear. But no, I totally relate to that completely because especially when the news career didn't work out, I'm really close with one of my professors at Penn State, and he had the most faith in me. And he's like, you're going to go far in this, just stick it out in your first market, because they always say your first market is the hardest. But
Right.
I don't know. When I ended up, I was so scared to tell him. I did not want to let him down. I didn't want to let other people down. My family was so proud of me. And my mom always said, she's like, you would never be able to tell how much you hated it because you were so good at it.
Yeah.
And, I think that was the biggest thing for me. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, if it is not serving you, don't do it. Don't do it. And when I did tell my professor, he was just like, you know what? You need to trust your gut. And that is just what I have learned, honestly. And that's my biggest piece of advice for people is trust your gut. If you don't feel like it's right, don't do it. You got to change things. You got to listen to yourself because you are your best judgment of things. I'm telling you.
So what are the biggest things right now that you personally are stressing out about?
Oh gosh, that I'm stressing out about?
Yeah,
Oh,
that are giving you
Lord.
anxiety in your life as you are getting ready to embark on a journey of kind of talking about things that stress out young people. I mean, I imagine you're worried about some things yourself.
Funny enough, I was just talking to Erica Lang is our producer of the podcast. We were just talking about this today. Funny enough, starting this podcast, I mean, I really feel like we're taking a plunge. I mean, think of how many even with you, with how many podcasts are out there, it's like, how am I going to make myself different than everybody else out there? And getting on every social media platform and finding your audience and doing everything. And as scary as it may be, I am so excited. I am so excited to have something that is mine, but there's definitely a bit of stress with it too, because, if it is something that really does blow up, I mean, that's going to be our full-time thing. Yeah. And I think it's also very much so putting yourself in the light of other people. Not everyone on the internet is the nicest human being. So it's just kind of learning that too. I think it's just a totally different realm that we know, but that we don't know at the same time. So really just kind of finding what's going to work best for us, who our audience is. And yeah, I mean, doing it the way that we want to, and putting out the product that we want to put out. I don't want to have to anything. I was going to say another word, but I was like, going to keep it PG on here.
So but yeah, trained.
Yeah. So we just don't, I think that's the only thing that's a little stressful right now, I think, is kind of getting everything together and making sure we have all of our ducks in a row and whatnot before we really kind of launch with this thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, I think that, and just figuring out if this is where I'm going to go with everything, just with career paths changing. I didn't think it would happen this soon, I guess, is the craziest thing in my life right now.
What is the dream for the Chicks and Dip podcast? Where do you hope it goes?
Oh my gosh. We have so many dreams with it. We really want it to turn into a media company. So the media company is 3 Chicks Media. So it will be 3 Chicks Media present the Chicks and Dip podcast. So we really want to turn that into, with all of our skills put together, because Erica is also a journalist as well. So all of us have the background of video, photography, all these different things, writing stories, different things like that, social media, kind of hopefully being able to do that for other people, but also bringing other podcasts onto our network. Yeah. I think would be really cool. We would love to have, hey, maybe like your podcast one day could be really cool. Or
your people get in touch with my people.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be in touch. But yeah, I think just kind of growing it in that realm. Lauren and I love to listen to, have you ever heard of the Girls Gotta Eat podcast?
No, I've not.
Oh my gosh. I listen to that religiously every Monday morning, but they do live shows and different things like that. We would love to do that. I would love for this to be my full-time gig. It would be so cool. We love creating content, and Lauren and I really bounce off of each other, and Erica is so amazing with what she does that I think we have a lot of potential, and we're all so excited about it.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you. I can see the way that you're talking about this. This is awesome. What do you find most fulfilling about creating content, putting stuff out into the world?
Because it's your mind, it's your creative juices flowing in your head. And it's so cool to me how many different combinations of something there can be. I mean, even when you're on TikTok, a sound on TikTok can be used 100,000 different ways. Yeah. It's so cool sitting down with Lauren and Erica, who are so amazing with what they do. We all bounce off of each other, and it's like, oh, well, what if we do this? Oh, but we could do that. And we can do this. And we just end up coming out with this product that is our child at the end of the day. I mean, the promo video that we put out, every piece of that is something that each of us came up with. Even the beginning, when it kind of does that blank screen, that was my idea. And we wanted it to be a rough edit of us showing where we're going to be sitting for the podcast and then getting into everything. And I think that's the coolest thing, just how many possibilities there are when you put your minds together,
And that's another one of my favorite things about this generation is that gone are the days of, you and I kind of follow this route, but you don't necessarily need to get a formal education in being on camera or journalistic standards or whatever. The best thing is that anyone can go become a content creator, make a legitimate living on YouTube, a legit living on TikTok or on your podcast. That is so empowering to me and so inspiring to me to know that it used to always be kind of a third party holds your life in their hands. And now, like you are doing with your company, you can do that.
It's so funny that you just said that, because it made me think of the news again, where I think something that's huge is changing within the industry are these content creators. Yeah. I mean, we are going to school to study journalism and to do all these things, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if you have that degree. If you are a face that people like to look at and listen to and follow along with, I mean, they're going to hire you for the job. So exactly. I think as great as it is, I also think the downside to it are people like me that did study and that did put that time in to get that role. And so I was just like, you know what? I know that hard news is not what I want to do. I want to do more of the entertainment side of things. So you know what? I'm going to take a different route and I will figure it out at the end of the day. I am so just trying to go with the flow, which I am usually not like that, but that is how I'm just coasting.